All right, welcome. This is Freddie with Duke Report, and this is Blue Devils Blog Top 10 Duke basketball games of the 2022-2023 season. Before I start on this coming season, I want to give a shout out to Coach K and thank you, Coach K, for an epic coaching career at Duke. He finished with 5 national championships, 13 Final Fours, and 1,202 wins to be the all-time winningest coach. Thank you, Coach K, for all you have done for Duke basketball fans at Cameron Crazies and Duke University. We appreciate it so much. All right, with that said, 2022-2023 Duke basketball season will be Coach Jon Scheyer's first year as the head coach of the Duke Blue Devils. The schedule for Duke basketball, the conference schedule was released this coming Tuesday. Today is Thursday when I'm recording this. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I probably will have it uploaded tonight. If you're seeing this from Blue Devils Blog website, I hope to have it up tonight, Thursday. If not, it should be up by Friday. But this is my top 10 games Blue Devils Blog BDB is looking forward to this season. When I say top 10 games, I'm not necessarily talking about the toughest games, but I'm talking about 10 games that sparked my interest, that stood out to me on the calendar. Number 1. Also, these are in order of when they play. Number 1, versus Jacksonville, November 7th, coming up. Why? You're probably thinking, why is Jacksonville on my top 10 list? Well, it will be Coach Jon Scheyer's first game as the head coach of Duke basketball. If I'm not mistaken, this game is on a Monday night, and I believe the Cameron Crazies will have Cameron rocking for Jon Scheyer's first game as the Duke basketball head coach. I myself hope to be at this game, witnessing history take place. Number 2, Kansas, November 15th, Indianapolis, the Champions Classic. Of course, this game is going to be in my top 10. It's always been in my top 10 over the years. If you look back at it, at the series, Kansas has 2 wins over Duke in the Champions Classic in 2013 and 2016. Duke won the last matchup against Kansas in the Champions Classic in 2019 by a score of 68-66. NBA scouts, fans, and people all over the country will be tuning into this game. Also, as we know, Kansas is the defending national champion that beat UNC in the championship game back this last March. So we got a Blue Bloods game between Duke and Kansas that makes my top 10 games looking forward to. Number 3, either versus Gonzaga or Purdue or West Virginia or Portland State, November 27th in the Phil Knight Legacy in Portland, Oregon. Now, if Duke can win its first 2 games in the Phil Knight Legacy, they could play in a championship game on Sunday. If they lose, depending on how many losses they have in those first 2 games, they would play in either the 3rd place, 5th place, or 7th place game. As you look at the other side of the bracket, there is a potential for a Duke versus Gonzaga championship game. A potential. If we look back last year, Duke won an epic battle against Gonzaga in Las Vegas. Neutral court, Black Friday, definitely national stage game. Could we get a rematch of Duke Gonzaga this year? If the bracket shakes out, it's a possibility. Or there's also a possibility of Duke versus Purdue. Purdue finished last season as a number 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. They lost to upset-minded Cinderella team St. Peter's in the Sweet 16 round. But this Phil Knight Legacy tournament has the potential for some great matchups for Duke early in the season. Number 4, versus Ohio State, ACC Big Ten Challenge, November 30th. Actually, that's my sister's birthday. Happy birthday, early birthday to you. But in Cameron Indoor Stadium, Duke's going to play Ohio State in Cameron Indoor for the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Duke fans, we remember last year, Duke lost to Ohio State in the Big Ten Challenge in Columbus. Duke was up 13 points at the half, but went ice cold the last 5 minutes of the game. Ohio State built a comeback and got the win over Duke. I think Duke will be looking for revenge, and hopefully Cameron Crazies will bring their A game when Ohio State comes November 30th. Number 5 of my top 10 games versus Iowa, the Jimmy V Classic at Madison Square Garden. Well, Duke will play Iowa in Cameron Indoor North. Madison Square Garden. When I say Cameron Indoor North, Duke fans are always well represented in the stands when Duke plays games at Madison Square Garden. So I look for this to have blue shirts all in the stands and be a good percentage of fans cheering on Duke. If you look back at the stats for the Jimmy V Classic, Duke has not lost in the 3 previous appearances in the Jimmy V Classic, beating Kentucky in 1998 and 2001 and Florida in 2016. Iowa was also a number 5 seed in the NCAA tournament after winning the Big Ten Conference last season. They lost to Richmond in the first round. But also another stat, Duke has won 7 of the last 8 games in the series with Iowa, but they have not met since 2001. So the Jimmy V Classic versus Iowa is our number 5 game I'm looking forward to. Number 6, Pittsburgh, January 11th at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Pittsburgh Panthers will travel to Durham to play the Blue Devils. This game easily makes my top 10 list. Why? Well, Jeff Capel is the coach of Pittsburgh Panthers and John Shire is the coach of the Blue Devils. You have 2 former players that played under Coach K, as well as 2 former assistant coaches under Coach K playing each other. If that's not enough excitement for Duke fans, I don't know what is. But I would definitely be watching this game, and it definitely makes my top 10 list. Number 7 versus Virginia Tech Hokies, January 23rd, Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg, Virginia. Mike Young led the Hokies to win the ACC tournament this last season over Duke in the ACC championship game. Mike Young has his Hokie teams rolling. Games in Blacksburg are always a tough environment for Duke. Let me go back to the ACC tournament. Also, the Hokies won 4 games in 4 days in this 2022 ACC tournament. That was the second time that ever happened. The other time it happened, Duke basketball won 4 games in 4 days as the first team to do it in the 2017 ACC tournament, led by Jason Tatum and Harry Giles. All right. The Virginia Tech fan base at Castle Coliseum always brings the football atmosphere inside Castle Coliseum. I expect them to crank up Enter Sandman, and I expect the Hokies to be ready and it to be an electric environment as it usually is when Duke comes to Blacksburg. And that was my number 7 of my top 10 so far. Number 8 versus North Carolina, February 4th, Cameron Indoor Stadium. This rivalry, you guys know, needs no introduction. Both teams made the Final Four last season. The Tar Heels are going to travel 8 miles down the road to play in front of a rowdy group of Cameron crazies that have been camping in Sheshetskyville waiting on this game. This will also be Coach John Shire's first game coaching in the rivalry as the head coach of Duke basketball. Look, Duke fans have not forgot about the home loss to North Carolina last year. And let me go off to the side for a moment. People who are saying, Carolina fans or Duke fans, whoever's saying the rivalry's dead, shut up. Just stop. Just please stop. This rivalry is alive and kicking as it was in the past, as it is in the present, and as it will be in the future. I fully expect this game, as usual, to be another intense game in the rivalry. I expect the Cameron Crazies to bring their A game, and I expect us to see another good Blue Bloods rival between Duke and North Carolina. Number 9 on the top 10 list is versus Virginia at John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville. This is a February 11th game. There's been some epic battles against Virginia over the years at John Paul Jones Arena. I've got to look back. I know we remember the 2015 matchup at John Paul Jones when Duke ended Virginia's undefeated streak. Tyus Stones-Jones knocked down the 3-pointer in the final seconds to steal the win. Another classic at Cameron Indoor Stadium. I was at that game February 13th, 2016 when Grayson Allen drove to the rim with the floater in the final seconds as with the buzzer beater to beat UVA. I actually was in the crowd with the Crazies. If you're looking at this on the blog, check out the video below to see my vantage point when Grayson Allen had that floater buzzer beater against the Cameron Crazies. Another classic in 2019 when Zion Williamson made that jaw-dropping block on Virginia's DeAndre Hunter that sent the ball into the stands. That block is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I still, to this day, don't think the ball stayed inside JPJ Arena. I think it's still somewhere down in downtown Charlottesville lost, as the force and power of that block was something else to see. Last season, Duke and Virginia split the series. Virginia won a close one at Cameron Indoor Stadium. And then a few weeks later, Duke won another battle at John Paul Jones Arena over UVA. So they split last year. This year, they only play at Charlottesville at John Paul Jones Arena. So I expect this to be another battle between two good teams. Number 10 on the list versus North Carolina, March 4th at the Dean Dome in Chapel Hill. Duke's going to close out the regular season with a road trip 8 miles down the road to take on North Carolina. One would think, with this being the rivalry and both teams making the Final Four last year, as usual, I expect ESPN College Game Day to bring their program, their crew, and do a live taping of ESPN College Game Day, because this most likely will be the most highlighted game at the end of the season, as it usually is between the biggest rivalry in all the sports. As we look at it, the schedule right now, Duke will play 11 games, possibly 12 games, if they get to play Gonzaga or Purdue in the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament. But they play at least 11 games out of 31 games in the regular season schedule against NCAA tournament teams from last year. So they will play 11 of the 31 games against tourney teams, possibly 12 if the bracket shakes out and they play either Gonzaga or Purdue. Duke's going to play 3 games against teams that made the Final Four last year. A home and away with North Carolina and a neutral site game with Kansas. These are the 10 games I'm most looking forward to when March Madness comes around. I think Duke will once again be battle-tested and ready. Let us know in the YouTube comments or on the Blue Devils blog comment section, or either I will put up both Twitter handles. My Twitter at Skilo22 and the Duke Report Twitter at Duke Report. I'll put them somewhere on this video. And please reply. Let us know what games you're looking forward to this Duke basketball season. Like I said, as I scroll through the schedule, I know I left off some games. I look down right now and I see versus Florida State at Cameron Indoor Stadium on New Year's Eve. Talk about New Year's party in Durham. Hey, that could be a good game. Why not spend the weekend in Durham and see a Duke basketball game and then celebrate New Year's Eve? Another one that sticks out to me, the road game at Miami, February 6th. Then they turn around and go road game at Virginia. That game in Miami could be a very tough one. At Syracuse, in the Carrier Dome, Shire's first time as head coach there. There are quite a few games I may have left off, but these are my top 10 that I wanted to point out in this video and this blog that I'm looking forward to. Countdown to Craziness is October 21st. That's just over a month away. I hope to see you fans there, and I hope to see you at some Duke basketball games. And thank you for listening to this video, and we'll see you out at the game. All right.